Hey everyone, welcome to Sideshow's First Look. Today we'll be taking a look at the Tony Stark Mark V Suit-Up Version 6-Scale Collectible Figure Deluxe Edition by Hot Toys from Iron Man 2. The box is a slipcover design. On the front, we're treated to a close-up look at the chest and arc reactor of the Mark V suit through crisscrossing patterns of metallic red. Those same patterns continue around the slipcover, interrupted at the sides by text identifying the figure within. Removing that slipcover provides our first glimpse of the Tony Stark figure and all of the accessories contained in the clamshell. Pulling that clamshell out of the box reveals the figure and all of its accessories. There's Tony Stark in the center, clad in his racing suit, surrounded by a plethora of components for incorporating the Mark V suit-up suit. Starting from the lower left of that tray, you'll find segments for integrating the suit with the feet, the shins, the thighs, the front torso, and the head, as well as an assortment of swap-out hands. Additionally, you'll find a display base tucked in under Tony's legs and feet. Also in this tray, you'll find all of the elements for the briefcase, which is an exclusive accessory that's only included with the exclusive version of this figure. In the lower tray, you'll find even more components for the suit, including the upper and lower back pieces, a swap-out piece for the back, 3 swap-out pieces for the chest, and several segments for the arms, wrists, and hands. Pulling the figure and the accessories out of the box really leaves an impression, as it comes with so many things. You can see the Tony Stark figure in the center, standing atop his displayed base. Arrayed to the right, you can see various pieces of the Mark V suit, including segments for the upper back, the lower back, the biceps, the forearms, the wrists, and the hands. Next to those, you can see 3 swap-out segments for the chest piece, as well as a swap-out segment for the back piece. Laid out in front of Tony are the 4 swap-out hands for the figure, including a pair of fists and a pair of gripping hands. Descending from the risers to the left, you'll find the primary chest piece, the thighs, the shins, the boots, and the helmet. On the table here, you'll find the segments for the Mark V suitcase, which are exclusive to this deluxe version of the figure. They include this condensed version of the suit, the case itself, as well as a handle, an acrylic bracket, 2 gauntlets, and an interior pelvic armor component. Now let's take a closer look at the set, starting with the Tony Stark figure. It's clad in a racing suit he wore in Iron Man 2, which is a 2-piece vinyl and vegan leather getup cast in multiple panels of blue and black. A white Stark logo is emblazoned across the front of the jacket, and a white number 11 graces the left shoulder with a number 5 on the right. A fine textured pattern dominates the bulk of the suit. The jacket is decorated with a sculpted zipper, which is non-functional. Glossy vegan leather panels at the bottom of the pants lead down to a singular pair of boots, also bearing remarkable texture and details from tops to soles. Pushing the sleeves up the arms reveals the battery compartment for the light-up feature in the repulsor palms. The second battery compartment rests here in this chest component. Simply articulate these 2 segments out of the way to give yourself room to do the work. There are 2 different ways to assemble the various armor components. This one for an early stage of the suit-up, and a second for the later stage when the suit-up is near completion. Similarly, there are 2 different display options for the exclusive briefcase accessory. One for when Tony first opens the case, and the other for when he initiates the assembly of the Mark V armor. The armor segments are cast in plastic and are all beautifully painted in the Iron Man tones of silver and hot rod red. Several of them feature articulated elements, which will allow you to fine-tune the final display of your figure. Now let's take a look at the articulation of the Tony Stark figure. The head rests on a sculpted neck with a single ball joint. It can rotate from side to side as much as you'd like. It can also look down about 30 degrees and up about 15 degrees. There's also about 15 degrees of lateral tilt. The shoulders will shrug, dip, press, and row. And they'll provide the arms with about 90 degrees of lateral lift. The arms will also achieve about 135 degrees of anterior lift, and slightly more than 90 degrees of posterior lift. The double-jointed elbows will allow for about 165 degrees of bicep flex. and a swivel joint above the bicep will allow the arm to rotate there. The torso will hit about 30 degrees of abdominal crunch, with about 10 degrees of extension. There's also a modest amount of lateral crunch to be had, and the figure will achieve about 30 degrees of torso twist. The legs will hit about 40 degrees of lateral lift. With about 45 degrees of anterior lift and about 5 degrees of posterior lift. The double jointed knees will allow for about 135 degrees of hamstring flex, and a break at the thigh will allow the leg to rotate there. The feet will rotate freely at the ankles, and they'll also extend, flex, pronate, and supinate. Here's the first round of armor components for assembling the Suit Up Mark V. They include the chest piece, the thighs, the shins, the boots, and the helmet, and an assortment of swap-out hands, including a pair of gripping hands and a pair of fists. Here are the rest of the armor components that are included with the set, including the bicep pieces, the forearm pieces, the wrist pieces, and the hands. These 3 pieces can be attached to the chest piece to complete the first of the 2 display options. And finally, there's the back piece, as well as these 2 pieces, which can be swapped out for different display options. Here are all of the components for assembling the briefcase, including the briefcase itself, this emerging Mark V armor component, the 2 separated gauntlets, the handles, an acrylic bracket, and the interior pelvic piece. The display base comes with 2 options, one featuring a Stark Industries logo and an alternative topper with a racetrack theme, and there's also an included pelvic support stand. This has been Sideshow's first look at the Tony Stark Mark V Suit Up version 6-scale collectible figure deluxe edition by Hot Toys from Iron Man 2. Be sure to follow How to Be a Poser for even more 6-scale figure content from Sideshow. If you'd like more information about this figure, follow the link below, and as always, don't forget to let your geek side show.